See?
What was that?
That's screaming in here. They're voice activated.
That was while we were in here?
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
So then you'll be able to hear the differences.
Oh my god. That's,
The screams are ridiculous.
Welcome to Remnants. I'm Emily.
And I'm Kayla.
We didn't say it at the same time this time because apparently it was creepy when we did.
It was a little, just a little
I
creepy.
keep playing footsie with you under the desk. I'm like, what am I? Hi, Kayla.
Hi. So I'm excited because we're finally going to talk about an investigation that we did like a month ago, and we just keep teasing it.
Yeah, it's at McInteer Villa.
In Atchison, Kansas.
Atchison.
I don't even know what that was.
Atchison. Or also known as McInteer Villa in Atchison, Kansas. It's not McInteer, as we had to teach ourselves.
Yes, McInteer.
Mac. Like
so we went back to Atchison, the most haunted town in Kansas, maybe the most haunted town in America.
Yeah, we're just going to say it is because...
That's cooler.
Yeah. The most haunted town in America and possibly the world. Yeah. The pause are like,
yeah. Also home to the famous Sallie house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We don't talk about Sallie.
Oh, yeah. We're done talking about her. We talked about her in the last episode, and that's it.
No.
Now you're giving her own song.
I couldn't help it. We don't talk about her. We sing about her.
Sing about her. So, yeah. McInteer Villa.
Mm-hmm. It's a villa. It's got Max. It's got tears.
It does have tears.
It's got inns.
It's a gorgeous like Victorian home in Atchison. And I guess if you're curious about some history on Atchison, oh my god,
Atchison, Kansas.
You want some history? I think we talk about some of that in our very first episode.
Yeah. So go back and listen to that because she's not doing it again.
Nope.
I think she talked about it for like an hour straight.
No, I wanted to. This was my like 17 pages of notes, and I gave an extremely brief history, but I have a very long history of Atchison that I could talk about someday.
That's when we need to do our drunk history. A fun plug for our first couple of episodes is we thought it would be fun to record while we were drinking. It wasn't. But I think it's somewhat funny, especially when Kayla's reading her, like, massive slew of notes, which wasn't even the whole amount. So I guess the reason I'm saying that is if you want, like, a full telling of Atchison history by drunk Kayla,
go to episode 1.
To it. I think we talk about, Corpse Pumpkins is Weston, but same thing. If you want drunk history, episodes 1 and 2, great for it.
Yep. Those were the very early days of the pod.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We've come so far, and yet not at all at the same time.
We've learned a few things.
We have.
We still haven't learned, investigating in the summer is not great because as we're reviewing our recordings from McInteer Villa, the AC units are very loud, and you kind of forget they're on when you're there because it's just like background humming noise, but you forget how much the recorder, that's all you hear.
Yeah, and you forget they're wrong because it's like 1,000,000 degrees and you want to live.
Yeah, we did turn them off when we were doing like EVP sessions and stuff, and we died from the heat.
And then another ghost investigation team came, and then we were the EVP.
That's right.
And now we cycled back to being on the podcast again.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I always want to like have a segue, and I don't know how to do it.
You're like, I know there's no possible way to carry on from that logically, so we're just going to pretend it didn't happen.
That's how I roll.
At least you weren't just like, no, delete that, Emily. How dare you?
I mean, that version of me might come out before we're done here.
Your frivolous way of speaking. Let me continue with my history of McInteer Villa.
I mean, you can do the history.
I don't want to.
If it was up to Emily, she's like, we wouldn't even do it.
That's your job.
That's my job. Well, I don't have, this is kind of a more condensed version of the history because I just want to get into us talking about the paranormal. So, but it's good for context. So, the McInteer Villa was built in 1889 by John McInteer.
What?
I know. That is so crazy.
Oh my God.
They have the same name.
Well, how does that happen?
I don't
How
know.
does a house and a man have the same name?
It's really strange. We're
Wow.
going to have to ask next time we're there.
Yeah. Oh my God. Imagine if you're like, hey, Stephanie, how did the house get his name? I know the guy whose name I instantly forgot. Was it John?
John.
John McInteer had the name McInteer, but is that at all related to the house?
I should be like, no, that's not.
Like, I never thought about that.
Well, John, he was born in Ireland in 1827, and he came to the United States alone as a boy, which is kind of sad. I'd like to know more about that. What happened there?
I got nervous the one time I flew on a plane by myself.
Can you imagine going on a ship, which that was not a quick journey back then?
Like, goodbye, child. Sail away forever.
Yeah, I got a lot of questions, but we're just gonna go past that.
Next time we're there, we'll ask
Well, it
him.
says he was a boy, but was he also like 17?
He was probably like 8.
But I know it was
It's just
1820.
generous they didn't say he was a man. A strapping young 8-year-old man.
They probably made him like work. He probably had to like.
Well, he was of what's that? Marrying?
Marrying age?
Yes.
At 8?
Yes.
This is the 1800s, not like
No.
not the Middle Ages.
Same thing.
Oh, well. All right. Well, John, he first settled in Philadelphia and then Indiana. And then he heard about this awesome new state called Kansas.
Yeah, I'm sure he's like, oh, that sounds
So he moved out west in the early 1860s to seize upon the growing opportunities in the new state of Kansas. He started a small shop in Atchison where he manufactured harnesses and saddles, and his products became known for their workmanship, and his business increased with supplying the wagon trains that were headed west on the overland trails. And he became a very prominent businessman in Atchison, and the wealth he accumulated from his business, he also invested in real estate in Atchison and St. Joseph, Missouri, which they're about 30 miles from each other. And yeah, he just had a lot of businesses in Atchison. Just a good capitalist.
He was a successful child.
He was. Good Irish boy. Made a name for himself.
That's what happens when you ship your kids out at a young age. They make something of themselves.
When was the famine in Ireland? Is that why they sent him over here?
Maybe. He had
Clearly,
to find-
Michaela should have done her research better.
He was sent to find brighter futures with more potatoes.
So he got married at some point, and I didn't write that down. I just have when his first wife died.
Married, wife died, got
Wow,
married,
this is
wife
going
died.
very well. This is my worst work.
I feel like this is the history of any like haunted old house. Man builds, man marries, wife dies, man remarries, wife dies, man dies.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of what happened. There's a little edit to that.
Ooh.
So, John McInteer's first wife, Alice, she died in 1892. So the home was built in 1889.
Okay.
So she lived there a few years. Then he married his second wife, Anna Conlin, who was a widow of 3 sons, in 1895.
It's very progressive of him.
Yeah. And then he died in 1902, and Anna continued living in the home until her death in 1916.
Oh, damn, he died first?
He did. But say they were married 7 years. So, man, did he not have any of his own children, I guess? Interesting. During her ownership, the house was home to a large number of her Conlin relatives, including many children. After 1916 until about 1925, her brother, Judge Charles J. Conlin, a prominent Atchison lawyer, and his family moved into the home and made it theirs. Then for the next 25 years of its history, it was a rooming house. Then in 1952, the villa was purchased by Miss Isabel Altus, a retired professional violinist and an eccentric, according to her neighbors. She's also known as Goldie, and we'll get to that in a little bit.
About her being Goldie?
Yeah. Well, just more about what Goldie does in the house still.
Because wasn't she, like, didn't the locals think she was a witch?
Yeah, because she, like,
called, like, the
dressed
witch
in
on the hill or
black
something?
and, yeah.
Same reason people think I'm a witch.
Right. Does heaven forbid you like to wear the color black.
No problem.
In 1969, shortly before her death, she sold the villa to George Garrity, who he had started to rehabilitate it. And then it kind of changed hands, and Stephanie, the current owner, she bought it 5.5 years ago. And
She's done a lot with it.
she has done a lot with it, yeah.
It's like fully furnished. It's gorgeous. You can't lay in the beds because dolls own them. There are a lot of dolls. But it's a gorgeous, like, it's literally like the Haunted Mansion.
It's so well kept up, and, like, the woodwork hasn't been painted. Like, it's just in great shape.
Yeah, it's one of the best maintained, like, haunted attractions I've ever been to, for sure.
Yes. Well, and even best maintained, like, Victorian homes.
Yes, absolutely. Like, even if you just go just to admire the house, like, you'll have... It's perfect for that. Like, the house is so gorgeous, you forget it's haunted and terrifying.
Right.
And then you're like, wait a second. Why am I here?
Why am I here? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The house does have 9 documented deaths, which were all of natural causes, and then there was 1 suicide on October 10th, 1922 by Charles Donovan. Yeah, so there is a lot of, deaths that have happened in the home, which is going to happen in a home that's over 100 years old. But there's also, because it was like a rooming house for so long, and also when, John McInteer's second wife lived there, that, a lot of her family kind of was in and out, and so there's a lot of children. So there are, like, children spirits, and there's just a little bit of everything, which I can kind of go through the list of the most common, like, haunted stuff at McInteer.
Yeah.
So you got, this one is interesting. So there's the attic. So lights turn on and off in the, like, tower of the attic, which is interesting because there's no electricity in that.
Right. That one I find interesting because there are so many, like, little windows there and everything. It's like lights turning on and off. Like, yeah, like, is it catching? We're right by a road. Is it headlights? Is it just, like, the tower in particular, like, it has, like, there's not cracks, but, like, there was light filtering in from various places up there, so I could see the light kind of, like, bouncing off in different ways.
That's true. Yeah. It's possible. Yep. Figures are seen in the windows when no one is home. There's sound of slamming doors, footsteps down the hallway on the second floor. Some feel uneasy on the second floor, especially in the bathroom in the hallway, feeling like you're being watched.
Which... we need to get better about being ghost hunters, because we hear, like, the bathroom is terrifying, and we're like...
We're just never going to go in there.
We're just not going to do that then. And I'm like, God damn it. We should have gone into the places that are supposed to be the most haunted.
Yeah, I know. This was really only our...
I feel like it's really, like, our...
second.
Yeah, like, we've been on group tours, but those aren't investigations.
This one was a little more private. We went with GEM Paranormal, but it was a smaller group, and then they left us.
They did. To be fair, they left us at, like, 3 in the morning. We just weren't expecting it, and we're like,
well, we have to stay here. We don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah, which we can get into how that went once we finish the cataloging the common hauntings, because that's a whole haunted tale on its own.
Yeah. So I think some of it, like, going back to what you said, I think because we were there with Jem, like, maybe by ourselves we might have pushed the envelope in some of those rooms, but we were kind of just, like, following their lead about where to go until we were alone. So
yeah, because I have some better ideas of what I'd like to do when we go back, especially after interviewing Stephanie and having a better idea of what's actually, like, the hot spots according to her.
Yeah, because we interviewed her after we investigated. So, yeah, there was definitely, because there was one room she talked about that was super active, and I don't even know if I ever stepped foot in it.
No, the seance room. Right?
Yeah.
Well, that, and then she said the kitchen and the dining room are the only rooms she's scared of, and we use that as, like, our gear room.
Right, so then we didn't investigate it.
And, like, I really want to go back and, like, use it as, like, a kitchen and a dining room and sit there and, like, eat and stuff and try to, like, get energy moving there and just actually stay there
Yes.
as more central base and see what happens. 'Cause
Well, I mean, I'm getting ahead of it, but the EVP we caught was in the kitchen,
yeah.
dining room
Yeah.
kitchen.
Yeah, it was like we were walking through the kitchen.
So, anyways, we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
That's just a little tease.
We're bouncing.
We are. Wow. We're very scatterbrained today.
It's okay. It's Monday.
It is Monday. Maybe not to you. Well,
It will be.
it will be Monday.
It's Monday for us and it's Monday for you. Happy Monday.
Hope it's great.
So great. Love Monday.
I'm genuine.
so happy.
We could talk about, so Goldie has a rocking chair in the, I don't know, there's kind of 2 living rooms. So
Living room number 5. Mambo number 5.
and it's seen, kind of rocking on its own, and
Yeah.
there's just all your kind of typical ghost stuff. I mean, lights turning off and on, creaks of turning doorknobs, items being moved, changes in temperature, voices of both male and female, shadows.
There's the one of the big ones I remember like reading about before we went is the shadow person that was caught like standing in the doorway of what's called the children's room. I think Stephanie said it was never actually like the children's room like verified. It's just kind of how it's been set up now. But it's got a bunch of dolls and this really creepy doll that's like a marionette that she found that's like has real human hair on it and stuff and has called her names and stuff and like people have reported seeing a tall shadow figure standing in the doorway to that room and it's got like glowing eyes.
Yeah.
So that, is unsettling.
I think the second floor might kind of be the most active.
so.
I guess we could give a layout of the house.
Yeah,
so,
that would be helpful.
Just
Just picture a house and then you're wrong because it's not like that.
I mean, it's I guess your standard big Victorian old home, but
Got doors.
So it's got a main floor, which has got like a parlor and a living room and a dining room and a study. It's got a lot of rooms, dining room, kitchen.
Lots and lots and lots of doors.
There's 2 staircases, the like main, like, I don't know, the grand staircase by the front door.
Fancy one.
That only goes up to the second floor. Then there's a back staircase by the kitchen that goes all the way up to the third floor.
Servant staircase.
Yes. Then on the second floor, there's like 5 bedrooms. Then there's also a little break room up there. And
Library.
There's the library, which is where Charles Donovan committed suicide.
He was a former soldier.
So he probably just had PTSD and depression, and I believe he actually didn't die in the house. He died a few days later after shooting himself. I believe that's what happened. There's a library and there's a bathroom in there that's apparently really active.
There's like 2 bathrooms on that floor that are haunted. Haunted bathrooms.
And then there's just then a hallway bathroom.
Yeah, which is awesome.
And then the kids' room, there's the seance room. There's like the master bedroom, which also has like a sitting room off of it.
And there's the creaky stairs that go up to the attic.
And the attic is massive. I mean, I guess it's the whole
gorgeous
size of the house, but it's unfinished. So it feels especially big because it's unfinished.
Yeah, and that one in the attic, they've reported like lots of movement and like because there's lots of furniture. Like it's set up, like there's sitting rooms. It's actually really well set up. But then there's storage, and then there's furniture that's not being used, kind of piled into corners. Like imagine like an attic in any horror movie you've ever seen, like that's about it. You know, if you're just like, what does a horror movie attic look like? Oh, that one, great.
That one,
So yeah, there's reports of things like almost playing hide and seek behind the boxes and kind of like skittering around, and we got a little bit of that actually. Yeah,
when we were up there doing spirit box session, and we kept hearing noises like in the corners and. Actually, we should refer you to, so Stephanie, the owner, has an Instagram account. I think it's just at the 1889 McInteer Villa, and she'll post evidence. So, like, definitely refer you, because she has cameras all over the house that are just going all the time. And so she'll post stuff, like up in the attic, she has 2 skeletons up there, like, sitting across from each other at a table, and she got the head turning in one. I think she had the door slamming open in another.
She's got all
to the
sorts
attic.
of things, yeah.
Yeah, a lot. And she kind of told us in our interview she only posts like the really compelling stuff on her Instagram because some of it is, you know, she knows maybe it happened, but it's maybe not as clear. So the stuff on her Instagram is real good.
Yeah, like I just literally got sidetracked watching it because there's some stuff and I'm like, oh, dang.
Yeah. And I mean, stuff happens everywhere. Yeah. And so then there's the basement, which it's a huge basement. I mean, I think it's under like the whole house and it's got probably 7 or so rooms.
Yeah. And there's like 2 spirits in there that are almost like named. I can't. Is the skeleton George? Is that what I'm?
Jack.
Yeah. Jack is the little doll, right?
Yes.
And maybe the skeleton doesn't have a name.
I think it was
know
he likes dirty jokes.
Yeah, the horny skeleton and the scary doll. They like have their own little room in the basement.
They do. And I hesitate to even mention this, but it's like, it seems to be a common thing, like, that there was like, I don't know, there's doctor stuff down there, and there was maybe alleged abortions in the basement. I don't know where those stories come from because I've not really seen that in any documented history. I'm not saying it's not, but...
I mean, you gotta think, even if it's not, that had to have been so common, regardless.
It probably did, and maybe that's why...
There just weren't records, probably, but it must have been
they're not going to have records of
right,
that.
but, like, even if it didn't actually happen, it must have just been such a common thing to have, like... stories about that maybe like whether it's people looking for them or people just being like, oh, can you believe this thing they were doing?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure it just existed in any house that had a basement. Maybe they're like, ooh. Sure.
And I mean, I guess because it was a boarding or rooming house, whatever you call those, for 27 years, like that's a lot of, none of that's going to really be documented very well, the types of people that were in and out of there and stuff. So
when you have a house that has a basement like that, I mean, that basement is weird. It's got like a lot of section off rooms. Mm-hmm. And there were even, and like, this goes back to it not at all being like confirmed or verifiable. It's more of just a legend at this point, but like the illegal adoption stories, what was happening out of McInteer, like, there was just a lot. Like there aren't a lot of threads to connect with it. It just had to do with like it being a boarding place and people coming in and out and the illegal abortions and
illegal adoptions.
Yeah, like
so in the basement, like some of it has a floor, like brick floor, and some of it is dirt. And there's one room where it looks like something keeps digging, but it never gets deeper.
Yeah, I forgot
and
about
I did
that.
see, I have that on my video, that room, and there it is, like indented in. But she said she's kind of stopped pointing it out because then people would stay at the house, they'd dig there, and it's like, come on, people. But you'd think if it was an animal, it would have made progress over the years.
Yeah, like, and didn't she say she used to try to fill it back in and it just, like, didn't?
Right. So I don't know, that's interesting. I guess she had a story of, she was given a tour to a family and there was a little girl on the tour and she like kind of just pointed over there and Stephanie was like, do you see something? And she was like, shook her head yes, and Stephanie was like, is it a person? And she was like, no. And she was like, what is it?
And like, wasn't she like, when she asked where it went, didn't she like point
up?
Mm-hmm. And that's interesting because when we were in the attic, I don't remember if it was Stephanie's cameras or GEM's cameras that were like motion activated.
I think it was GEM.
Yeah.
Maybe both, but I think GEM's Paranormal's cameras were the ones that kept...
They kept going up to the ceiling and holding for a while, and then they kind of pan
and it's like,
the
what's
top.
Triggering it to pan up?
Unsettling. Like, we were looking like, there's nothing there, but the camera's clearly following something. I'm like,
Yeah, didn't like that.
No, I wasn't a fan, especially after, like, keeping the other stories in mind of things crawling on the ceilings. Just like, ugh.
Stop it.
Yeah.
That was happening in the attic, too, sometimes. It would, like, turn to, like, the corner, and it's like, what's it seeing?
Right, like, because when we were doing the spirit box session, we were kind of, like, switching who was doing the Estes method, and we'd be asking questions, and, like, there's very palpable energy, I feel like, building in the room, and the camera would just, like, turn and look over one of our shoulders for a really long time, and we're just like,
what's it seeing?
I'm just not gonna turn around.
Yeah.
I guess I got ahead of us a little bit, but
No, I mean, I think we can go into now us investigating.
Yeah.
So
I guess we can start from like the beginning and maybe try to
in the
chronologically.
very beginning, it was a dark and stormy night.
It was.
But it was.
I drove through.
It was one of the worst
God.
storms Kansas City had got in a long time. I mean, kind of it was like tornado warning, so there wasn't any tornadoes, but it was like extreme wind and just
It was
hail.
It took me
and-
like an hour to get home, and it usually takes me maybe 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And just driving over bridges where the rain was completely sideways and the bridge was flooding, and I'm like,
yeah,
So
it
that's
was
how we
intense.
started, yeah.
So,
and then it was perfectly fine.
yeah,
by
it
the time I
lasted
left.
like 2 hours. So by the time we got to Atchison, it was blue skies.
It was
and
lovely. It was,
was
a lovely
lovely.
evening.
But Jim had gotten there earlier than we could because we worked, because this was a Friday night. And right before we got there, they were investigating in the kids' room, and they got like a kid voice.
Yep, we need to get that audio, but they played it back for us, and it was pretty compelling.
It was.
And none of the group sounded like children. So
No. Yeah, they're all,
They were all
grown
adults.
adults.
No child voices amongst them.
Nope.
So they got that, but in addition to that, one of the members that they brought with them in the basement had a shadow figure spotted standing right behind him. Mm-hmm. And that shadow figure really liked him because he never left him the rest of
Yeah,
that
he
night.
got picked on the entire night.
Relentlessly.
Yeah.
And we might have.
We might have, yeah. I thought there was at one point where they went up into the attic and we decided to go off on our own to the basement because we thought, well, that puts like 2 floors between us too, so no contamination. And I think we were in Jack's room and we were like, hey, if you want to go,
Yeah, our friend is up in the basement.
we heard you like him.
Or in the attic, yeah. So if you want to go say hi, and then I think
He got touched in the attic.
something whispered in his ear.
That's what it was, yeah.
And like the timing was actually pretty in sync.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
we might have sent
we did that.
sorry.
Not sorry.
So,
But that's what the initial with them, and then we kind of got her set up and started doing our own investigating. And
yeah, we did EVP sessions in the we did 2 in the kids' room, the doll room. One just Emily and I, and then one with a couple other members of GEM, and didn't get anything.
Yeah.
Then we did one by Goldie's chair, and Mike had like an app going.
Yeah, it was kind of
One of those sort of Ovilus type
yeah, which
spirit
I don't
box
really
apps.
buy into too much.
And I don't think he does either, but we kind of had it on for just to see. Nothing too compelling, really.
Yeah, we did try, and when we go back, I want to do it again. We tried an
that's right.
experiment because it was at Goldie's chair, and she was a violinist, so I wanted to play some like violin music to see if it kind of would help trigger anything. And I just don't think we had enough silence around us trying to do that to actually get it to be like an even close to a mildly
Yeah.
successful experiment. So I want to do that again for sure.
And we would turn off the AC units because
Yeah.
we forgot to, so...
And I'd almost like to like leave something playing like on and off while we're not even there, and maybe just record and go do
Yep.
something else because
Yeah.
I just want to see. Like, I know there's stuff there. It's just, yeah.
Yep. And then we were up in the last part of the night, we were up in the attic for quite a while doing spirit boxing and EVP sessions up there, and nothing really came of that outside of what we've already said, just like the camera's kind of turning and nothing's there, and
There were
we
some
heard
sounds.
some taps and...
I think for us, we've learned a couple things on investigations which are a little like conflicting. One is like we don't like being in big groups when we investigate. 2 is we don't like being alone when we investigate. So it's kind of like, where's the happy medium? And I think it's just breaking off on our own more and being more like protective of our space and our experiments. But like for us, like there wasn't enough quiet time to kind of investigate the way we like to, which is almost exclusively EVPs.
Yes.
Which we did actually get one.
We did. Should we talk about that?
Yes, and the whole like
What goes along with this EVP? Yeah, this is kind of a lot to unpack. So this is when we had split off. Emily and I had been in the basement investigating for about 25 minutes, and all of the people in GEM Paranormal, they were up in the attic. And we had come up from the basement, and I realized I'd left the tripod in the basement, so I was like, damn it, gotta go back down and get it. Back down to the darkness.
Yep.
And Jim is still up in the attic at this point. No one...
yeah, we could not hear them.
We could not hear them. They were nowhere near us. And it's, I don't know, should we think what we heard or just play it?
Let's play it first with the caveat. Caveat, is that how you say it?
Yes.
Or is it caveat?
The caveat.
The caveat that it is a little difficult to hear and it's much easier to pick up if you're listening with headphones. It's there, but we realized when we played it back on the computer that it does muffle it a little bit, but headphones, it's very clear.
Yes. So definitely put your headphones in. If you're listening in their car, you're definitely not going to hear it. But it's right after I say, I knew I was going to forget it downstairs.
Lantern retrieval mission.
Yeah. I realized I left my tripod downstairs.
Yeah, tripod, not lantern.
I knew I was going to forget it. So so what I hear is of two different clips. One says "yep," and then it says "I know." Mm-hmm. Yep, I know.
And that's interesting in that it's commenting on what we're saying, but it's also interesting in that we find the voice very familiar.
It sounds exactly like the voice we have caught at Waverly, numerous times at Waverly, and at...
We got it at Beatty, didn't we?
At Beatty, which we haven't talked about yet, so...
Because I was like, where else did we get
I know, and I'm
Beatty?
like, I know, that's what I was thinking through our episodes, and I realized, oh, we haven't talked about Beatty Mansion yet.
Yeah, that's going to be our next... I don't know if it's next, but it's upcoming.
Yes. So you'll hear more from Tim. I guess we've named him because that's what he named himself at Waverly.
He introduced himself, and now he hasn't gone away.
I think he either followed us from Waverly or he's always been there, and Waverly was kind of the first time we really investigated. So to hear him.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know, though.
I think he came with us from Waverly.
I think so. Based on the type of interactions we had, like something literally, like we invited something, it came.
And we didn't tell it not to follow us.
Yeah.
And we don't know which of us is haunted because every time we get his voice, we're together.
Yeah.
And so I don't know which of us has the attachment.
We've got some ideas to try to figure it out at some point. Like, I don't think we're getting, like, bad vibes. Like,
he's sassy.
He's sassy, and, like, he mostly just makes himself known.
Right.
There's potential... We'll have to look it up when we're like fully editing Beatty, but I almost feel like we got him twice in Beatty, and I almost feel like he was interacting with a different spirit. So it's just like, is he like our PR ghost, maybe?
Yeah, or, you know, if one of us or both of us are mediums, and we just haven't honed our powers, a lot of mediums, they have a guide who kind of helps them talk to spirits, so I don't know if Tim is our guide. And... But he also seems to not always answer when we're actually doing EVP sessions, which he seems to be just more commentating on, like when I'm like, I knew I was going to leave that downstairs. Yep, I know. Like he was like, I watched you leave it, you idiot.
I know, it was just like he's just there. Like,
and it was a sassy comment too at Beatty, which you don't want to ruin for when we actually talk about Beatty, but... That was also a sassy comment.
Yeah, I kind of just, like, imagine him, like, whenever we're doing anything, he's just kind of in the background with his arms crossed, just like, oh, my God.
Rolling his eyes.
Which what I think is interesting, and what I think about with that entity is, like, Jesus, the cat scared me.
She came out from under the bed.
She, like, moves so slowly, and she's, like, mostly black, so I saw her, I was like, it's a shadow, because I was just about to talk about shadow people. I listened to some podcast a while back that was talking about, like, one theory on shadow people is that they're, like, formerly human spirits that kind of have lost their identity to the point where they're kind of looking for somebody whose energy they really like. So sometimes when they find that person, or maybe even people, they'll kind of latch onto them, and that's how you get an attachment. So it's like, is that what Tim was? Did we pull him out of Waverly because he just
liked us?
Yeah.
Or liked one of us?
Yeah. Or, like, maybe we have, like, joint custody.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's with me, sometimes he's with you.
I know, we're too afraid to actually investigate on our own in our homes.
We did a spirit box session at my place, but we weren't taking it very seriously.
When we did one at my place as well.
That's true.
But we also weren't taking it seriously then.
Yeah, because we just talked to Thomas the Train at my place, and at yours...
It was, like, several men's names, but I don't think Tim was one of them.
We found out this was a brothel.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's kind of...
That's on our Instagram if you're curious.
But that's, like, the main piece of evidence we personally caught.
Yes.
at McInteer, unfortunately.
I think we just needed more time on our own. It's amazing how quickly the time goes. Because, I mean, we didn't get there till, I think, like 7:30 at night. But it's just amazing how quickly the time goes. I guess we should, just for funny. So at 3 o'clock when we realized, we're going to be here by ourselves. I think we were pretty tired, and we should have investigated a little on our own. But I think we knew we were going to another location the next night, Beatty. Yeah. Spoiler. And so we were like, we've got to get some sleep. So I think we chose sleep, but we were like, oh my God, where are we going to sleep in this massive haunted house?
Right. And like, we hadn't planned on being left there alone, and we hadn't planned on kind of being responsible for the giant house alone.
Yeah.
And like I said, we can't sleep on any of the beds. Most of the furniture is super antique, and we didn't want to be in a giant open room where we know there's like a ghost verified in that room. And we'd heard the one room that the owner will stay in if she sleeps in the house, because she doesn't live there. Mm-hmm. She owns it, but she doesn't live there. She'll just go visit. But the one room she sleeps in is her TV room.
Which is on the first floor.
Yep, first floor, tiny room with doors. You can close it off. All it's got is a little couch, a coffee table, and a TV.
So we took the stuff off the coffee table, pushed it up to kind of make like a bed.
Yep.
And so we laid on the couch and
the coffee table. And Kayla was like, well, I got a sheet.
I had a sheet in my car.
Sheet set up. And she gave me one little corner of the sheet to share.
I did give you more, but it got like rolled up into the pillows.
Because we laid there and you were just like, here you go. And I'm like, thank you. But it was fine because, we had all the doors closed and we were all comfy, fully dressed in case we had to run out. We still had our shoes on.
Yeah, we slept literally slept fully dressed.
Yes.
And I think because we didn't want to hear doors slamming or footsteps, we turned the TV on to
SpongeBob Lo-Fi. Yes. We turned it up as loud as we could, and it was just an image of SpongeBob and Patrick, I think, just looking out over a balcony. And it was just SpongeBob Lo-Fi all night long.
They kept us safe, SpongeBob and Patrick.
Like, I don't know if any ghosts were trying to get to us while we were just half laying on there, but they probably saw us and they were just like, you know what? Let's just leave them be.
You have a little video of
so I'll post it on Instagram.
We'll post it so you can kind of see our.
It's pathetic.
Yeah, like I don't know what I was thinking. Like we should have had an air. I guess because we didn't book it, we joined Jim's investigation. I think I didn't know you couldn't sleep on the beds.
Yeah, I had a different.
I would have brought an air mattress or something.
Right. We need to get some sleeping bags. Yeah. Yeah, I had a different image of how that whole thing was going to go. So I definitely want to go back and I have a full, much better idea of how I'd like to handle that. And, we get cots or sleeping bags and sleep in an actual room and be real ghost hunters and don't let us get scared.
Yeah, we really didn't investigate enough on the second floor, because the hallway, and actually we did hear some footsteps while we were there and we didn't, but it's hard to sometimes know because when it's a bigger group, you're like, wait, where is everyone?
Yeah, because people did wander off a lot, so it was kind of hard to know for sure where they were.
But it would be nice to investigate the second floor more, because we just didn't get
the whole place more.
Well, the whole place, yeah.
Because it was okay. So what's interesting about that place, though, is we didn't get very many negative vibes while we were there at all.
Nope.
However, when Stephanie came to do an interview with us, but she's fantastic. She did.
Yes, thank you so much if you're listening, Stephanie.
Yeah, she did a full interview with us. And
it was 2 hours we talked to her.
She was great. She talked to us about literally everything. Mm-hmm. And we're going to have some of that here shortly, but I don't know. The perspective she gave on the haunting was very, very interesting, and I don't know how much we want to get into it and how much we want to just
let her talk.
Yeah, because there's a lot, including what you heard at the very beginning of this episode, which we'll talk more about later as well. But I think we should probably just let Stephanie
kind of talk about her experience with the house and what she thinks is going on there, and we're going to turn it over to Stephanie. what do you think is here? Residual, intelligent, both?
Oh my gosh. Intelligence? I think both. Now, I was actually talking to a girl 2 nights ago. I'm like, I don't know if there's anything residual. And she goes, yes, there is. I mean, is a residual not I mean, I guess I'm confused on the intelligent and residual.
Residual would be like
I know residual keeps going, like the three, like the same.
Like maybe the footsteps down a hallway.
Right.
So that could be both. So I'm like, so are they the dumb ones? I mean, that's where I go.
It's more just like a moment replaying.
Yeah, it's more like a memory than an
so
actual
they don't.
entity.
They're not really.
It kind of depends on how. Some people say it's more like a memory or just energy left over, and some say they just don't even know what's happening. But
like if you could hear, like residual could be like, I don't know, like the door unlocks every night at 7 p.m. because that's when he came home from work, or something like that.
That
like,
makes sense.
Or,
see, now I'm going to sound a little smarter when I give my
or
tours.
footsteps down the hall
and
every
like
night.
right now, see, I don't have I don't want to use air quotes, but I'm like a gift. I mean, people will tell me like, yes, you do. You just need to like tune in, or that I don't think I'd be quiet long enough for me to tune into anything. But like just now, and now it's gone. I just get like the goosebumps on top of goosebumps, and it's not cold in here at all. A little toasty. Yeah. Yeah. Like, well, it's no AC, and you think I would know all this stuff having a look at. I don't know any of it.
There's not anything solid to know anyway.
I think there's a lot of spirits here. I think there's a lot that have nothing to do with the house.
Yeah.
People keep saying portal, and then I'm like, Star Trek? I mean, I don't know.
Well, we were listening to a podcast where a medium talked about Atchison as a whole is just a lot of activity, and
yes.
So do you
that's
think?
True. I'm assuming. I don't know. It was a boarding house for 27 years. Maybe
so that's a lot of
from
people in and out.
Yes.
Yeah, it could have just gotten used to the people coming in and out. And there's a lot of stories about mirrors being able to open.
Yes. Yeah.
Portals.
Now this mirror in the primary bedroom, that's an original mirror.
Okay.
And people do get extra faces.
Ooh.
I mean, plain as day. It's not like because it's distorted. It's a distorted mirror, so it looks like, oh, is this a person? Is this? I'm like, you will know. You will definitely know if something appears. It's not like you don't have to question it. So I've taken thousands. Me. So I know it. And when you don't erase them, you look like you have a huge ego. Right. When you go try and upgrade your phone at AT&T, and you sit there for like 2 hours to change those phones.
Don't look at
I'm like, that's a lot of me. And then you have to explain because you're looking for a ghost, and then you sound even more bizarre. My dad has come through. The day he died, he came through. I drove out here and put my recorder in there where I put it a little bit ago, and very clearly, I love you. And so people would ask, was it his voice? I don't know. Give me this. I don't know if it was.
Just let it
but
be.
then it said Stephanie with like a V, and that's how he said it. I don't know. Stephanie. But Stephanie comes through a lot, and not just, and I don't think it's him, honestly. So the mimicking thing, go back to,
right.
I honestly don't think he's here. I think that maybe something mimics him, or, people will, maybe he is, I don't know. Unless I see him with, Dad, if you hear me, I don't need that. I'm good. I talked to my brother yesterday about that. I'm like, I don't need to see him. Because he had a dream about Dad the night before. And then I just gotten a book that my friend Tori had written on the villa, and she put this whole thing on Dad, like, she was just that's why I'm bawling in the car. And so I don't need to see him here, hearing his voice. Okay, I can do that. Yeah. But is it him? Is it not him? Because I've heard me and it's not me.
Right.
Yeah, so people will say, I talked to your dad last night. He's so proud of you. You're doing a great job. I'm like, what's he going to say? You suck at this.
Right.
You should quit and sell it. You're horrible. So I'm like, I don't think it's him. But I do think that there's something that mimics people a lot. So is it a kid? I don't know. So when I tell people the basement, 7 rooms, it's a different feel when the sun's down, lights are out. But there has, lots of shadows down there, lots of lights. Like people say, I just saw an orb, and I'm all with it's a basement, first of all. It's, I dust like no one's business. You'll never find dust in this house. So people, will say, oh, I saw an orb. But when you see it with your eye, and it's just a bright light.
There was a light on our camera we couldn't explain. We pretended to explain it so it didn't worry us last night, but we need to look back because there was just a light that shouldn't have been there. And
was it in the basement?
Yeah.
It was, it's like, it's not a car light. Because that's, you can tell if it's a car light.
It was just
no window. Weird. And a car light would take up more space, and you could see it leave. This is on off. It's done it a lot in the hallway here, like, especially in that mirror at the end of the hallway.
Yeah.
You can see it looks like someone took a flash picture, and no one has. So stuff like that. It's the door opening. That has nothing to do with the lights, but they just are so intelligent. And I just wonder if they're just. I'm going to move this and see if she notices.
Right.
I'm going to unlock this door. So I don't want to say it's subtle because unlocking and opening, especially that door, that's not subtle. But I think that, okay, Sallie has.
Right.
I read and I don't read a lot of books. So when I say I read it, I read a few things.
Right.
And I was actually talking to Deborah about it when she, because she's been here a few times. But I'm like, Deborah Pickman. And so I said, or she had written something about when something moved and she had told whoever was there, her family, oh, this thing has moved. It stopped doing it. So it's like, she knows I'm doing it now. So now I got to do something else. So I wonder, it's like when I tell the stories, like this happened. And then if it does, it stops not happened again. Yeah. I almost said not happening again. I don't know what I'm saying. That they're like, oh, she caught on. Now we got to do something else.
I'm like, well, that joke's old for now.
Yep, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Huh. So you haven't seen like the shadow person at all?
Oh, I have.
You have?
Well, okay, take that back. I have seen the shadow person in the 2-curtain room, which I was talking about 5 minutes ago. Never finished. That I was sitting there with a friend, and we saw the shadow. Well, in front of the curtain on the right. Okay. So you're facing it. That's the one where I've seen. It's just like a full. It's like one of us just standing there, but it's so dark. You just think maybe one of you walked over to look at out the window, and then it went across the ceiling. Oh. And then the girl I was here with, she bolted upstairs. Yeah. And I'm not going to do that by myself.
Yeah.
So,
no.
Yeah, but I've not seen. Other people have told me they've seen like something crawling on the ceiling in the dining room. I'm like, well, good for you. Now I don't need to see it. I don't need to see it. Well, I don't look up then. Just don't look up.
We had
it's right there.
We were in the basement and they had a few cameras that tracked motion, and literally the thing would stop and then would go up and it would hold up on the ceiling and then it would kind of track around. And I'm like, what are you?
We're not moving.
So you know that is. I have goosebumps. That's a story I never finished either. I'm like, I don't have a gift, and I'll talk about something else. But this little girl, I was giving a tour. It was probably, I don't know, 10 people, and this adorable little girl. She wanted to see a ghost so bad, and we're walking around. I know. I was like,
that was not me as a kid.
No, she actually. Okay, you know the curtain under the stairs. She was just this cute. She looked like a little Shirley Temple, curls. And I have this on my Instagram. It was so uncomfortable. She actually just stood in that by that curtain and then just walked out. And this group who did not know she was there, I didn't know she was there. She just went, Cheryl, walks back. I go, you're hired. I'm hired. But anyway, we go to the basement. She hadn't seen a ghost since she'd been here. We are main floor, this floor, attic. Her mom's like, do you see a ghost? So we get to the basement and we're standing. So you walk down the stairs and the room to the right, just dirt floor before you go to the rooms. She goes, just like this. And I go, do you see something? And that is a spot where something has been digging in the ground. Oh. And I stopped telling people because people started digging. And I'm like, let's not dig in my floor. Yeah. So, and I'm not saying it's paranormal. It was just, you can tell something's digging. And it'd be like fresh movement of the dirt, like the next time I'm coming. But it's been going on for about 3 years now. So, and it's not getting deeper or wider.
Yeah, you think if it was an animal, it'd give up by now?
Right, yeah.
Or make more progress.
Yeah. And so when she points right in that corner, and I go, do you see something? I go, is it a man? I go, is it a woman? Is it a kid? And I go, what is it? She goes, it's scary. And I said, where is it? I said, is he still there? And she said, no. And I go, I'm telling you, if you see it on my Instagram, I go, where is he still there? I go, where did it go? And I went, well, I'm now dying in the basement because I'm not going upstairs.
Yeah. This is where I live now.
It was so weird. So when it was pointing up, it's crazy because she just went.
Yeah, and the camera would literally just straight up, and then it would kind of follow it up along, and then it's like, what is it looking at?
It's crazy. And I tell people, the main floor is the ceiling when you go to the basement. So if people are walking around, it's very easy to hear. I say if you're here with a bigger group, just skip that floor to separate your group if you do.
Yeah.
But we heard the next group coming in for a tour. And I said, the next group is a little early. Let me go up and tell them I'm finishing up. And we heard them walking around. We heard them talking. They actually had it on their cell phone because they were recording as I was giving them a tour. And I come upstairs. No one's here. And I'm like, well, maybe they went upstairs looking for me. So I came up here. No one's here. There was nobody here. Wow. And we could hear them talking. So it's people ask if there's a certain time of day. No. If there's a specific room, I used to say the hallway. Well, the hallway is my least uncomfortable, but I can say things that have happened in any room, any time of day. And it's lots of mom, like in the question form. Lots of those. Mom? I did hear one. I was sitting on this bench out in the hallway, and some friends were coming over, and I heard someone say, "Where's my baby?" And I'm like, "What?" So that's why that doll's at the end of the hallway, because I have issues. And I'm like, "I found your baby." That sounds so bizarre.
Like, can you have this one?
Yeah, found your baby. I got that in an oddity store in Omaha. They told me his name was Oliver, and I'm like, it's Thomas. So, because I'm, bratty. So, a group of women were touring, like 15 to 20 people, standing at the end here, and she goes, "Ooh, can I take pictures of your doll?" So I'm like, "Sure." And she said, "The doll looks like her husband." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "Alrighty." And then she said, "Well, we're in Atchison to spread his ashes." And I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. What was your husband's name?" And she said, "Thomas." And then all the cat balls on the nun and him were going off.
No.
And I walked up to it and I stomped. I go, "See, they aren't going off me stomping." And every time she mentioned Thomas, cat balls would go off.
Wow.
What it was crazy. Yeah. I mean, it would. So I think anyone can come through.
Yeah.
And if you think of it like, and like, it's just weird, creepy, cool. Yeah. So my dad would tell me, make friends with them. And I'm like, I don't make friends with in real life, Dad. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. I will walk in and say hi, but I don't need to wait for a response.
Yeah.
But so that it does get uncomfortable knowing that they are just watching. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I tell people it's like you're the animal in the zoo.
Yeah.
The bustling of a dress. I'm going to have to change like my tour and like sound a little more intelligent. I'm like, it's like you're the animal in the zoo and they're just watching you. Like, what's she going to do now?
And it does kind of feel like they make the choice whether or not they want to interact.
All right, why am I looking over here?
I heard something, I thought
I heard something, but I also thought I felt the floor vibrate, which is a weird thing too, because it's not the AC unit.
Right, we turned them
We've
off.
mentioned that a couple times.
It feels like the floor is vibrating, and not everyone will feel it. Or like the breathy. Not everyone will hear it. There was a group here, and I was walking down the hallway. They were in the dining room, and I heard, "Get out." And I started laughing, and I said, "Did you guys just tell me to get out?" I go, "It's fine. I'll go cry in my car. Not a big deal." And they go, "No." So I got on the camera, and you hear, "Get out." I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
Maybe today I'm not. It wasn't a Stephanie day for them.
It was. Yeah, they were not. No.
One group told me they want me dead in the basement. I'm like, I think that's a little harsh. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But the best way to describe it is this girl said, "I don't know if they love you or hate you, but they react to you." I'm like, oh. So that's why I put like the recorders in certain places. I mean, I get screamed at. Screamed at.
So we talked to Stephanie, what was it, like 2 hours?
Yeah.
At that point? Like it was a solid interview.
It was. She just, told us all different kinds of ghost stories or paranormal activity that's happened at the house. And
yeah, it was amazing. And at the end of the conversation, she went to go get those recorders she'd mentioned. And, she wasn't wrong about the screaming.
Guess it happened while we were interviewing her.
Yeah, like I've never had such like instant chills happen ever until she like was walking down the hallway and I just heard like wah coming from her. I was like, what the frick is that?
Yeah, I remember being kind of like confused because I didn't even know she put recorders out. I think because I was setting up their camera and our recording equipment. And so when she's just playing the scream, I was like, well, that just happened now?
Yeah, she's like, yeah, this happens all the time. I'm like,
it's not normal.
She's like, no, it's normal. It happens. That's just what it sounds like here.
Yeah.
And she just kept playing it. Because what kind of recorder did she
It's
have?
one of those Panasonic. They're very popular in the ghost hunting world. They're old voice memo recorders, the Panasonic brand. And what they do is they only record when there's a voice. Like, it's voice activated.
Oh, okay.
And so that's why it sounds like a continuous scream, but it was probably there was breaks in between, but it's only going to record when something comes through. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of nice because instead of listening to like 3 hours of audio, you only have to listen because it's just going to pick up. But yeah, so we can play like the full clip that she got from our 2-hour interview with her, where there's lots of screaming and there's kind of some Yeah, some talking, I guess, but you can't really make out what it's saying.
And what we have is a recording of her recording because we recorded it playing from her recorder on her phone.
Yes.
But it still sounds pretty good, I think.
It does. Well, and that's kind of a downside. These recorders are so old that I don't think there's a way to, like, upload the footage the audio into a computer, because I think they're from the late 90s or early 2000s, but...
I don't know.
Anyways,
yeah, we'll play that next. It might be kind of loud, so I would definitely consider, like, turning your volume down a little bit. Just give yourself time to make sure it's not too crazy.
Okay, I was gonna grab this. That would probably just pick all of us up, but this, I'm going to pick up.
Something
stopped recording it. See?
What was that?
That's screaming in here. They're voice activated.
That was while we were in here?
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
So then you'll be able to hear the difference.
Oh my god. That's,
These. The screams are ridiculous.
That's,
really angry.
So you can hear I was saying you can hear the difference in me talking, because I'm loud as hell.
I'm curious because, like, my recorder stopped at some point. I had to restart it, and I'm almost wondering, like, holy fuck.
That was a whisper. I mean, I was around the 10 seconds.
Holy shit. I wonder if it is only when you're here that it...
It's what?
It's like, is it when you're here only that it does this kind of stuff?
Yeah, because...
No, every time I hear something that's, like, legit, I, like, almost start crying. It's like, oh my god. That's fucking...
Isn't it crazy?
Glad we're leaving now. The fuck?
Yes, you said fuck. Thank God.
No, I've been saying fuck a few times now.
But, like, there's, like, voice.
What else do you say? It's almost like
Frustrated.
so angry.
Yeah.
Like when I don't want to, it's disrespectful to say like when a kid, but you know when a toddler can't say what they want to say and they just
get...
Yeah.
Wow.
I also so when people get freaked out, I honestly, and it sounds weird, because nobody agrees with me, I would rather hear this than the normal talking, because to me, they're going about their business. Here, I think my brain could say, well, it's this or that. Or they're talking into the microphone, which is like and maybe that's how it's coming through. But no. Huh.
Yeah, I don't know.
You think you're like knocking around. Like,
yeah, I think I prefer the talking to that. That's
Now I have I never let people borrow these because they're stupid expensive, dumb recorders. But there was one person I did let use it, and he was getting screamed at also, and a lot. So I thought it was just how these recorders come through.
It's intense.
Yeah,
Lost for words.
I don't think that's how those recorders come through.
Yeah.
I don't know, but we don't have one.
No.
Yeah, I still feel the same way I did when we first heard that. Like, it's just a lot.
You could actually, I just am remembering, you could do a full, if you guys are interested in those recorders, you could do a full deep dive by going and listening to Astonishing Legends. They have a 3-part episode on their Sallie house, because they got a kind of, theirs is different, but it's an angry scream come through on the same type of recorder. And their part 2 of their Sallie house series, they talk for 2 to 3 hours just about these recorders. They went and had engineers and like experts like talking about these recorders. And so, yeah, anyways.
Yeah, because didn't they kind of find out that it was still pretty legit? Like,
yes.
The sounds they got, like, it wasn't just the recorder.
It wasn't picking up, and I think maybe it sounds a little, because it does distort it a little, because it's not a high quality recorder, so maybe that's why it kind of sounds even angrier than maybe but it's angry.
Yeah, no, it sounded angrier. Well, I think when we heard it live, because I still remember just being like, ugh.
Yeah, like you said, it made you like want to cry.
Right, and like as you heard, I swore a lot. I apologize. I was just
in shock.
Yeah, it was pretty, and I think it was worse because we had the background knowledge, like, oh, we just slept there by ourselves.
And, like, she's here for 2 hours, and we get this screaming. We've been walking around this house.
Right. So, like, if we had left a recorder out while we were sleeping or something, would we have gotten something similar?
Right. So, like, whenever we go back, we are so just leaving recorders out.
Yeah, we are.
Like,
that was a rookie mistake that we didn't do that.
we're learning. We are actually genuinely learning.
We are. We're getting better.
We've got some really cool stuff coming down the road that we are so excited to share.
I know, yes.
But I think for now, that's the end of this episode, isn't it?
It is. So head over to our Instagram at Remnants Paranormal and let us know what you think of first what you thought of the screaming and also the EVP we got. That sounds like our friend Tim.
Oh, Timothy.
Yes. And, you know, if you please leave us a review, and especially on Apple Podcasts, because
Please.
that will help people find us and
Yeah, I think
be awesome.
Yeah, and keep an eye out. I think we're going to get our Patreon up off the ground here in the next couple of weeks. So
I think it actually is linked in our bio.
it's linked. Yeah, we need to actually make sure it's got stuff in it, but it's there. It exists. We're just gonna make it more of a thing.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Because we can then go to even more investigations if...
Yeah, because we've been doing a lot of them, and we're like, oof, this is expensive. But so worth it. Oh
It
my
is.
God, so worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to spoil too much.
I know. So we will leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
And...
We will catch you on the flippity flip.
in 2 weeks.
Ba-ba-ba-bum.
Bye.
Bye.
We'll play it right here. Click.
Play it again. Play it again.